Today we're going to tell you about the Porsche 996. I'm Justin.
And I am Aaron.
And this is Husman Bros. Before we go too much further, please subscribe for more great content like this. So today we're going to talk about the differences between the 996.1
and the .2, and make sure you stick around because we're going to drive each other's cars and give you a better feel for exactly what the driving differences are.
Before we go too much further, I want to tell you about the Porsche 996. Now 996 is a designation for the 99 to 2005 Porsche 911. This was Porsche's first water-cooled car, and as it seems for every Porsche, this is the car that saved Porsche, bringing it into the modern era. Water-cooled cars, overlapping production, just an interesting vehicle. So they made these cars for a few years and actually had changes in between the years. There's two different models here.
Now these cars were not without controversy.
100% they weren't. First,
the purists love air-cooled Porsches.
You bet.
But obviously, a liquid-cooled Porsche is not an air-cooled Porsche, so that was one point of consternation. And then the other one, much like when Jeep went through an overhaul of their platform and changed the headlights and caused a lot of controversy, Porsche did the same thing. 911s have always had the round or oval headlight, but you can see these clearly do not just have a simple round or oval headlight. They've got what's called the fried egg or the runny egg headlights here. And you can see they went through a change from the .1 to the .2 and cleaned them up a little bit. And then after this, they went back to the round headlights.
Well, one of the bigger controversies about these headlights is when this car was new, this was a $96,000 sticker. You could buy a Boxster and the front end looked pretty much the same. And when you spend $96,000 on a car and the secretary down the road in her Boxster has the same front end and you get mistaken for it, it doesn't feel as good as when you've got a 911 that everybody knows costs a bunch of money.
It didn't cause any controversy in the front office of Porsche though, because like you said, this is the car that saved Porsche. This made Porsche profitable again. They could use the same parts for two different models of their vehicles. Interior, exterior, they were able to use a lot of the same parts, which saved a lot of money.
You bet. Now, you can see the difference in these two headlights. The first generation, here we see, it's not just the headlights though, so the headlights certainly look different. This was in order to get the Porsche folks happier with them again with the .2, but the .1s, here you can see that there's no curve here. There's a curve here. The headlight washers are up top versus down below. And that hood line in front is vastly different. You see the curve down here versus the straight curve here. So they are different than other Porsches. Now, a lot of the parts of 996 carried over to the next generations. In fact, the top system for these two convertibles is the same system as on a 997.
The interior looks,
between the two. Now, there are a couple different levels of interior in the 996.1. So this one has a full leather interior. A lot of the 996.1s did not come with that because it was an option. And so you'll see some of these that have a pretty simple dash that almost, well, they look like old air-cooled Porsches, but that just makes them look a little cheaper than the full leather dash we've got. So we've got these two cars, and maybe Aaron wants to tell you why we've got two 996s.
So a while back, I decided I needed a convertible in my family, and so this was the one that I ended up with. So I pull up in this 996, and Justin sees it, and then he, of course, had to have the same thing. At least he didn't get a black one, so he's got a blue one. But we're changing the name of the channel. It's going to be 996 Bros instead.
I don't want you to think that I was purely motivated by older brotherness. I
believe the word you're looking for is jealousy.
It's not jealousy because I already had a convertible, and the problem was that my other 20-something-year-old convertible was getting harder and harder to find parts for and work on. So I know that this is a robust car. I love our 997, and moving to the 996 from my Jaguar was, I think, a great choice for a daily driver car because I think these are daily driver level cars.
Absolutely. You go around, as we've been taking these to different Porsche events, the regular comment is, oh, that's a great driver.
It is, and I drive mine every day. It is my everyday car. Now, first let's talk about comparisons in price with the two. When we say a daily driver car, I mean, you can daily drive anything you want, right? As I said, mine was a rather expensive car. It was a special order car. It is in lapis blue, which was the color for this car. When these were fairly new, lapis blue commanded a little bigger price because they didn't make a ton of them, especially in the coupes. This car is factory lowered. It does have some later wheels on it. My original wheels would have been turbo look twists. These are from a 997 actually, but they're 997 turbo wheels. I think they work very well. This is a small car. It's smaller than my other car. Now, the interior on this one is in gray. This is the full leather option. So it has the drape leather seats versus the perforated leather seats. It's got the leather dash. This actually has the few carbon fiber bits that you could buy from the factory on this car. I've got the carbon fiber shifter handle and emergency brake handle, which you need to save that much weight, super important. My favorite part of this car though, without question, it came with this little windscreen. And I am always driving with the top down. I convertible every day. If it is raining, I won't drive in the rain, but if it's not, and it may rain, I'm still gonna take this car out. This is also my first convertible with a colored top. The top on this car is Metropole Blue. I may be pronouncing that wrong, but I've only ever read it, so we're not sure. Here's some fun facts about this car though. This is a cover for a pop-up roll bar. So if I were to get this car going around the corner too fast, I'm gonna be protected. And here's another not so fun fact. So we all worry about the expensive Porsche parts. This part right here is the cover for my hardtop. It is also in Metropole Blue. In Metropole Blue, this part costs $75 each. In Simple Black, it's an $8 part. So be aware that when you're buying special things, sometimes you pay special prices. Black gauges, great car, 6-speed transmission. Now, the 996.1 has a 3.4 liter motor, so it's a little bit smaller than the 996.2. This car has some unique features that you don't see very often on these. So it has the aero side skirts, which are, you see those quite a bit. Aaron actually has them on his car, but I've also got these little aero bits here. I suspect this makes it a lot faster because you don't see very many of them. Again, this is a factory order car. The original sticker price on this car was $96,000. I was able to pick it up with 74,000 miles for a little over $26,000 not too long ago. I think that 996 right now are the best deal on the market. Now, let's go talk about my brother's inferior Generation 2 car and let him give you a tour of it.
Hardly inferior. I got the 3.6 over here. So this is a 2004 996.2. It looks black, but the color is actually basalt black. It's a really, really pretty color. It's got some pop to it when the sun hits it. Now, the most obvious difference in the 996.2 versus .1 is the headlights. You can see they changed these so they did not look just like the Boxster. That's what Porsche guys really wanted. So you can see they've got a bit more style, a bit more curve to them, which gives a nice front end curve here. Obviously, everybody loves their own child the most, but I really do like the look of the .2 with the headlights. It's just a lot nicer, smooth look on that front end. So that's the big thing here. Justin's changed out the side blinkers, so he's got the clear ones, which I think looks pretty good. I just haven't done it yet on mine. And you can see I've got the 5-star wheels, which are not the preferred wheels for really a lot of Porsches, frankly, but I like the 5 stars better than the turbo twists. For me, these just look really sharp. Going back a little further on the car, you can see I've got the same skirts. Now, my car sits higher because it does not have that factory lowering, so it sits about an inch higher than Justin's does, which for me, it's a really nice ride. I like it. I've got the full leather interior here as well. I don't know that it was as rare in the .2s as it was the .1, but I've got the leather dash and I've got the leather seats. What is a unique option is I do have the embossed Porsche emblem on the headrests here. That was a $1,500 option. This car, when brand new, was over $98,000. This is a 2004. This is actually the last year Porsche made the convertible in the 996. Every Porsche guy loves the rare cars, and sometimes rarity just comes down to statistics. So here's a fun one for you. This is an 04 Carrera 4 Cabriolet. They only made about 350 Carrera 4 Cabriolets in 2004 that are in the US market. So that makes it a very rare car. These are both Carrera 4s, which is great for driving and handling, just a little bit extra grip to the road when you've got the all-wheel drive. What else is different between these two cars, Justin?
You know, if I would say what makes a 4 better, it gives you just a little more confidence when you're going around those corners. But what makes the cars different? is, I mean, there's really not a tremendous amount of difference aside from the drivetrain, and we'll get into that in a second. For me, having driven Aaron's car and driven my car, one of the key differences is in the speedometer on mine, it tells you the speed in the middle of the wheel. And you're surrounded by your tachometer. On the speedometer on Aaron's, it tells you the speed to the left, and it's still all tachometer. So you're not able to see as quickly. That's one of the key differences that I saw. Other than that, they're very similar cars. They do drive very differently. They have a different transmission, they have a different motor, so they do drive differently, but they drive very similarly. The other big difference, which kind of blows my mind, is my car does not have a glove box. My car has an airbag and nothing else. Aaron's car actually have a glove box. So if a glove box is important to you, do not shop for a 996.1 because you won't get one. However, there is no lack of storage in these cars. Rather than a glove box, these cars actually have door boxes, one on each side, and then they've got a normal console box in the middle. So you're not really lacking storage in these cars at all. So I'm gonna start out by driving Aaron's car. And first, for those of you that are wondering, I'm 6 feet tall, Aaron is 6'1". We both fit very comfortably in this car. And so the size, even though it's a small car, it's not really a challenge. So one of the key differences between these cars is the transmission, and Aaron's transmission feels very different than mine. So it's a little different transmission. I've actually read up on it, and it takes a lot to switch them out, so they're obviously vastly different. The clutch is actually shorter on mine than his by, I think it's 2/100ths of an inch or something. So, you know, Aaron said that we all love our own children best, and I like driving his car, but I much prefer mine, just because I drive it every day. So some of the differences on his car versus mine, he has more luxury things. So he's got power seats and memory seats. I do have power seats, but I don't have any memory on my seats. He has white gauges. I'm not sure if they were an option or if they were standard on this car, but it looks really sharp. Big difference though is that the white gauges, or at least the 996.2 gauges, the speed is over here to the left and the tachometer is in the front. On mine, I've got the tachometer up front, but the digital speed is down below it, so I can see exactly what speed I'm going, no matter how fast I drive. When we bought these cars, part of the thing was to get a car with a stick shift, and this is a great shifting transmission. Aaron's car, because it's not lowered, drives smoother than mine does. So when I was shopping for my car, I looked specifically for a manual, not just so that I could feel like a boy racer while I was driving during the day, but because these cars, when they're an automatic, they have the older Tiptronic, and the Tiptronic is not a terrible automatic, but it is not the PDK, and it's going to drive very, very differently. There are a lot of these around in manual, but there's plenty of them around in Tiptronic as well. And either one is going to be a fun car. Depends on how you want to spend your day. Do you want to shift, or do you want to just ride with it? These cars can be had now in this form for between probably 25, and I think Aaron paid 32 or 33 for this one. So they've depreciated a ton, but you could either buy a Miata or an Accord or a Porsche. Which one would you rather drive? This car is the 3.6 liter flat six. My car is a 3.4 liter flat six, and you can certainly feel some difference in the power to the street. Now mine and this one are both stock. I'm going to start modifying mine soon, so hey, subscribe for that. But as we do that, we'll continue to compare whether the 3.4 or the 3.6 is faster. I do think that people get a lot out of the 3.4 motor, so we'll see. That's some basic facts, but how does it feel to drive one of these cars? And I tell you, one, it's fun because you have the top down. You cannot beat a convertible. I'm a convertible man all the way through, but it feels really solid. It's almost like driving a race car. I know people say that about Porsches, and certainly our 997 is much more race car than this one, but it's fun. You've got plenty of power to get out of the way. These cars are in the 300-ish horsepower range, which is more than enough to daily drive around the city. You can get out of things, you can get away from people, and really, you can have a ton of fun with one of these cars. Frankly, I don't think there's any better way right now to spend your money than on a Porsche 996 of some sort. These aren't turbos. These are just regular, naturally aspirated cars, and man, they are a ton of fun. There are some special versions of this car. You've got turbos and you've got GT3s, both of which we'll have on the channel here soon, but just in a regular stock form, these are fantastic cars. Really a lot of fun. And while maintenance costs can be a little bit pricey because it's Porsche, see the different color and cap parts, ultimately they're pretty robust cars. After I bought mine, I hopped in it and drove it right to Colorado, about a 2,500 mile round trip, and never had a problem. Did great on gas and had a good time. Speaking of gas, I can tell you that around the city, these are gonna get pretty low miles per gallon. So his car is marking out at 15.4 miles per gallon. My car is averaging a little over 16 miles per gallon. So that's either a difference in how we drive or a difference in the size of the motor. I'm not entirely sure which. I'm gonna pull over so we can do an exhaust clip. One of the mods I'm going to make on my car is gonna be the Gundo hack, so we'll use this video probably, you'll see it again, to compare stock versus altered mufflers. We pulled over here because I wanna do a rev so you can hear the 3.6 versus the 3.4. We're gonna rev it a little bit so you can hear the differences. All right, so that's the sound of the stock 3.6. This video is all about comparisons, and really I don't know how to compare. I like Aaron's car. I don't know that there's enough difference between the two to make you look for one over the other. Ultimately, when it comes to a car like this and a used car, the range of price is not going to be that vastly different. Buy the best one you can. His car has a lot of records to it. It's a very nice car. There are always going to be problems with a car of this age. Pick one that you like. If you like one headlight more than the other, pick that one. But I don't think the driving experience is different enough between the two of these cars to really make you search out one or the other, aside from for aesthetic or for option reasons.
Now it's my turn to drive Justin's car, like I drive all my rental cars. Let's take it for a spin. All right, so here I'm driving the 996.1. This car was made, or this model of the 996 was made from 1999 to 2001. The .2, the one that I've got, was picked up from 2002 through 2005. Now, if you blindfolded me and took me out of a .2, dropped me in the .1, there would not be a whole lot of differences that I'm gonna notice right away. I would say the only one that really stands out is the gauges from where I'm sitting. At this point, both of our radios have been switched out, so I couldn't tell you what the difference would be between the original factory going from one to the other. But the rest of it really all looks very similar. I do see some differences here. His buttons are a gloss finish where mine are matte finish, so that's a little bit different here. He's got the painted console, but the console looks the same. I mean, it's the same style of that. So just looking at the interior, it does not look all that different from the .2. Now the glove box is certainly different. The word I really want to use is odd, because he's got his owner's manual right here underneath the dash. Now I say glove box, but it's really a lack of a glove box because there's nothing here. It's very strange. It looks like there should be, but there's just not. And I've got one, and it's convenient because, you know, I don't want to have stuff floating all over the place. I want to have stuff for places for storage. Now it does have the door pockets. The door panels are exactly the same. All right, so before we head back to the garage, we want to pull over here and check out the exhaust on this car. Let's see how it sounds compared to mine. All right, I'll go ahead and rev this thing so you can hear it. I believe this is a stock exhaust, although knowing Justin, he might have changed it already, or he definitely will soon. All right, I think that's enough driving. I think it wore enough tread off of these tires, and he's almost out of gas that I don't want to pay for. So I'll go ahead and head back to the garage so we can tell you our final thoughts about each other's cars.
So which is your favorite?
Well, this one actually.
And mine is my favorite. Frankly, I don't think there's enough difference to really seek out one or the other, except for maybe aesthetic differences.
Well, yeah, that's because you have this one, but I have this one, so I'd seek this one out again.
I gotta tell you, I like these headlights better, but that's the way it goes. I guess we're breaking up the channel. Beetles are done, we're out.
We can't agree on 996s, we can't agree on anything.
They're great cars. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more like this. We're gonna be taking these cars apart and doing all kinds of things to them. So subscribe, see what we're gonna up to.
Come back, see us.